Hey guys, and welcome to the FitPro Social with me, David Kyle.
And me, Ash Burley.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode. Slightly later in the day than usual, but I don't have an excuse. Ash has an excuse as to why we're a little bit later today. Ash, welcome to this week's episode. How are things?
All good, yeah. Apologies for being a bit later in the day today. It is literally my fault. As Dave actually mentioned last week, you'll probably find that we tend to have different backgrounds in different areas most weeks because we tend to travel a lot within our business and things like that. But I'm actually not on a business trip this week. I'm actually going on holiday. So we've had to travel all the way down to Southampton from Nottingham, which is where I live. And a bit hectic in the traffic on the way down. So we got here about 2 hours later than what we expected. So that's why I'm here. That's why my background's here. I'm sat in a hotel today. But so apologies, completely my fault. But other than that, it was good. Good journey, good fun.
I think today's topic, though, is going to be an interesting one because maybe it's something that's been bubbling over the last couple of weeks of the stuff that we've been talking about on these episodes. And I think today one might either motivate you or it might antagonize you. We're not trying to antagonize you, we're trying to motivate you. But if you are feeling antagonized by the stuff that we're going to be talking about, then maybe that's where we need to take a look at ourselves. And what we're going to talk about today isn't something that it is something that I've been through. I've been in these situations, and Ash has probably been in these situations as well. But Ash, tell us, and I keep saying antagonizing wrong. So if I keep saying that wrong, apologies. But Ash, tell us, what are we going to talk about today, and maybe why are we going to talk about it?
So I think as people's probably seen from the title of this, maybe it's fun to keep struggling. To keep struggling, and again, this does sometimes rub people up the wrong way. It's actually about the work that's involved and actually doing the work itself, and that's kind of the area I want to talk about. That whenever you're running a business, no matter what the business is, regardless, you have to put the work in, and sometimes you have to do the things that you don't want to do. Sometimes you have to struggle, and normally when you're progressing forward, when you're trying to push forward with something, there's always going to be resistance somewhere. There's always going to be some kind of struggle, some kind of hard work, some kind of extra effort you have to put in to go and do it and do the things you don't necessarily want to do in order to achieve the things you want to achieve. And one of the things that both me and David, I think David as well, sees a lot of the times with people we speak to, is that we may suggest things that you need to do. We may talk about some of the things that needs to happen in order for you to take your business to where you want it to be. And the effort involved and the struggle that's involved is sometimes maybe a bit too much. And maybe sometimes people turn around and go, I don't want to do that, or I'm not doing that. Where in reality, I think sometimes you just have to bite the bullet and do the things you don't want to do and just put in the hard work to get where you want to be. And that's kind of the area I want to talk about today.
Yeah, because if we look back at all the history and all the stats and everything, a fitness business is not a very long-term business. What do they say? Most fitness businesses fail within the first year. Most businesses fail within the first 3 years. And that's not sometimes for lack of trying, but it's also sometimes things that maybe you've seen in the past or what others have been talking about. And last week we talked about having a mentor or a guru and all that type of stuff, having people help you. If you're being sold to a program where they've made it like it's going to be really easy, you're going to have a 10K business, or you're going to have 200 clients, or you're going to be retired in 4 years, I can guarantee that what they're telling you, there's a lot more work involved into it. They're just selling you the actual end result, which is going to be way harder than what they're making it out to be.
Yeah, 100%. First of all, I apologise for the noise behind me. They're just checking up for dinner and stuff in the corner. But yes, I think it was 100% harder. We actually had this very conversation with someone that we work with literally yesterday, and was talking about kind of two approaches you can take when it comes to business. And normally you have to have a mix of both. You could like a hard and fast approach. You can do a slow and consistent approach. And I think in reality, you need kind of both of those, especially when starting out in business. There's important things that you need to get cash in and whatever. And in reality, if you put the work in, and I don't really like this word too much, but if you hustle sometimes to achieve some of the things that they maybe talk about, like these 10K months and stuff, it's not actually that difficult. If you put the work in, that it's simple. You just have to work hard to do it, and you can bring it in. What is difficult sometimes is doing that kind of thing consistently. And sometimes you have to make sure that you be a bit realistic about this. And if you want to be in this business for the long term, as David said, it's for a lot of people, a short-term thing. If you want to be in for the long term, you have to be able to do things consistently. In order to do that, you generally have to do the things that you don't always want to do. And I'm not saying they're always hard things, but what I'm saying is the things you might not always want to do all the time. Like, for example, I'll tell you a perfect example, actually, is following up leads. The amount of people I speak to saying you need to go and follow up with some leads. So they've got these leads coming in, but they don't follow up, and they don't follow up again, they don't follow up again. They won't do it. Yet just by doing it, that's what will take them where they need to be. That's a very simple example, but it's something that I think a lot of people listening to this might be able to resonate with. A lot of people don't like doing that. A lot of people don't like doing sales calls. A lot of people don't like having those conversations, don't like making offers, don't like posting content, all those kind of things. Or they maybe feel like by doing that, you're putting yourself out there and opening yourself up to, ammunition or being shot back at, or whatever you want to call it, opening yourself up to the point where you could be criticized or whatever. For whatever those reasons are, I think you have to kind of get over those reasons and then put the work in and take action on those things consistently.
I think my story, was it last week or the week before, what I shared, for the first 5 years, me and Holly had never been on holiday. And I was always like, why are we never getting to go on a holiday? I'm doing okay business-wise, but not nothing. That is an example of me just not trying. I'm purposely, and this is why we called it, maybe it's fun to keep struggling. Maybe I'm purposely inside loving the fact that I can moan that I'm not going on holiday, moan that I'm not really making any money, moan that my life isn't great. And maybe, I don't know, there's some weird part of you that is enjoying that situation that you're in. And it took me 5 years to really figure out that, Dave, I need to stop just fucking about, basically. I need to take this business seriously. Stop messing around. Stop relying on living with family. Stop relying on just hoping people are going to turn up. Stop relying on people just going to pay. I have got to just pull my finger out and take this seriously. And I did. And the minute I changed that attitude, the mindset, the belief that I'm going to make this happen, everything completely changed. And you can see from my story, and you can probably see, I don't know, you've worked hard, it seems like, the whole time. Hey, it's going to pause it there for literally 2 seconds. If you're loving this week's episode, please let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe. The more people we can get subscribing, the bigger guests we can get, and the more people we can help with the content being shared. Anyway, let's dive back into today's episode.
But to be fair, it's very, very similar. I mean, when I first started in my very first business, admittedly, my first business, if you like, I was kind of self-employed, and I worked in a slightly different industry. It was coaching, but the adventure industry. So part of that you did use to travel a bit, but very cheaply. And it was because you had to do it for your job. You'd have to go away and work and get experience and things to do it all. But when we talk about holidays and things like that, when me and Sarah first set up our business, it must have been, especially on the PT side of it, with the studio and that. I bet 6 7 years, we never went on holiday at all. In fact, the first holiday we went on, believe it or not, we didn't really have that much money at first because we kept putting money back into the business and things, and we had staff we had to pay for first. You basically become the last person you pay, you're the bottom of the scale basically when it comes to getting paid. Or it was back then anyway. And the first holiday we went on, my parents paid for us to go away just to get us the break for it all. So I can completely
Okay, so let me jump on that then. So if you're listening to this and you're just thinking, oh well, it's good for Ash's parents to have the money to be able to pay for him to go away, I kind of had that attitude as well at one point. I was like, oh, it's okay for his dad to buy him the kit for his studio, or his friends to lend him the money to open that, because I've come from a very poor background. I've never had any money. I've never been able to rely on my parents, my grandparents, my uncles, or anybody to give me money. I've had to work for it. And then I didn't work for it, if that makes sense. I just kept moving along, trickling along, not doing anything. And I was still stuck in that situation. So in order for me to be able to get away, lucky for Ash, his parents could afford for him to go away. But for me, I had to work. I had to get out of that struggle, enjoying the struggle, enjoying not getting anywhere, and change my mindset and my attitude and my work ethic to wanting to make this life that I enjoy. So if you're thinking, oh, it's lucky for him to have a gym, or it's lucky that he's got staff, or it's lucky that someone gave him money, or it's lucky he's got a really good client base already, don't look at it that way, because you don't know their backstory. Maybe their backstory is the same situation that you're in now, and all you need to do is put the work in, the correct work that is, to move yourself forward to get you to where you want to get to.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, on that whole lucky thing, like I'm without a doubt, I'm lucky. I don't really have that kind of. I do and I don't. Like I've always had admittedly a safety net that's been there in reality. My parents, and they do relatively well in what they do. I've never really relied on it. They've always forced us to do stuff. But I think even though I say I don't consciously rely on it, I think there's always you always kind of know it's there. And I think that sometimes puts you in that struggle as well. Because I think there's times when I was kind of going through with the business and things where it was hard, it was tough. And so part of me was like, maybe I could just fall back on this and go and work for my parents' company and all that kind of stuff. You think, well, there is that option there to fall back on it. But I didn't want to do that. Like I said, I can't do this. I'm not going to submit to that. Like I need to prove that I can do this on my own. But even then, even with that kind of drive to think like I need to stand on my own here, I don't want to fall back on my family. Then it's like, well, I still didn't put the work in really. And I think, and I don't know about you, this is just purely my opinion on this. It wasn't really until probably a couple of years ago I took time to look back over how I felt and the feelings I had and all the different things that I kind of went through and stuff with the different businesses. And this struggle, I think, came through as a bit of a defense mechanism for me. I think it was like, well, actually, if I'm struggling doing this, I feel like if I'm working this hard, if I'm just doing these things, maybe not the right things, just like I feel like I'm working, I think I'm always busy, making myself busy with stuff. It felt like I was doing the right thing. So then if it wasn't working, it's like, well, I'm trying hard, I'm working hard. So it's not working. What else can you do? And I would have arguments. I mean, I had arguments with Sarah sometimes about, well, I'm working my ass off here all the time. Like I'm doing everything in order to do this. I'm like, what are you bloody doing to help me do this? And horrible moments. Like honestly, I was a horrible person sometimes when this kind of stress got there. And I actually look back, it really was the fact that I think I was just using it as a defense mechanism, because if I was negative, if I wasn't being positive about the situation, I wasn't looking at it more objectively, looking at it more like a business owner, then I've kind of defended myself like, well, I told you this was going to happen. I told you we weren't going to make any money this month. I told you this wasn't going to work. And that's kind of how I felt it was back then. And it wasn't really until, I don't know, maybe 7 years ago, something like that, I kind of had a shift. I started thinking more like a business owner. I started treating this as like, well, if I want to have this, this, and this, I understood exactly what my end goals were. And that's what I took time to do. I took a look, what do I actually want from this? And then once I realized what I wanted from it, I could start approaching it in a very kind of subjective way. And I started looking at business and money as tools to help me achieve things, as opposed to me just doing things within it. If that makes sense. It's quite hard to explain. I don't know if that made any sense.
No, it makes sense. You do see it a lot where we try and put blocks in our way. We try and put reasons in our way. We try and work hard on the incorrect things to get us to the places that we want to get to. So we've talked about chasing down the leads. The most important part, generating leads, easy. Making sales, easy. The hardest part of the whole situation is chasing down the leads. Now, a lead comes into your inbox, and the first thing you're going to do is, oh, you know what? I need to get my notepad and pen out, because they're going to give me some notes, and I'll just get a quick cup of tea while I go and find that notepad and pen, and then I'm feeling a bit stressed now because I need to phone that person, so I'll have my cup of tea, and I'm just going to tidy up in the front room. And before you know it, an hour's gone. That's somebody else's phone, that lead, and they've signed up, and you've lost it because you've been putting blocks and barriers and hurdles and everything in the way of doing that most important thing, which is chasing the lead down. Now, that's just one example of our own mindsets, of our beliefs, of things that have got in the way. And this might come back to, and it might be a harsh thing to say, and we talked about this the other week, was the people that you spend your time with. If you're spending your time with people that say, I'll do it tomorrow, or I'll do it, you know what, I'll join this coaching program when I finally have 100 clients, or I'll finally buy that new piece of equipment when I finally have 10K in the bank. Then if that's the type of thing you're thinking of, when this happens, you might never get to that point, because that when might never arrive. So sometimes you have to remove yourself from, it really sounds harsh, you have to remove yourself from these people who are holding you back, who are stopping you from moving forward and getting you to where you want to get to.
It's a huge thing. I changed a lot of my circles during that time I mentioned about 7 years ago or so. A lot of my circles, my close circles, if you like, and spent more time with people who thought the way I did or needed to think, I should say. Maybe not the way I did at the time, but needed to think. And the questions they would have, the conversations I would have with them were very different. They weren't limited at all. There was no limitation. There was no issue in investing resources in themselves. When I talk resources, I mean like time and money. Like there was no issue with doing that. There was no issue with taking calculated risk all the time. And yet I would speak to some people before then who, you know, who I trust, who were friends and still are friends. I don't get me wrong, they're still definitely friends and stuff. And I just wouldn't spend as much time or maybe have certain conversations with them because they were very limited. They're like, oh, I wouldn't do that, or you shouldn't be doing this, or why should you live a life like that? Don't be silly, you can't go and have that. And I think a lot of those things do hold you back. And whichever way you look at it, whenever someone tells you something like that, if you hear it enough, you start to say it to yourself enough. And when you say it to yourself enough, it then becomes a belief. And if you have a belief in something, it's subconsciously always going to be there. So if we take the sales call that are ringing them up or whatever, there's this belief there sometimes that when they do that, they'll answer, they'll say no, they might not answer or anything like that. And you might get rejected. There might be a no there, and you just think, I'm trying so hard. And then that reinforces that belief that those other people told you that you're going to fail, that it's not going to work. And I think because of that, we then procrastinate, we then put things off, where in reality, as Dave was just saying there, those things are important. And most of the simplest things are the hardest things to do because we don't enjoy doing them. And in all honesty, if you want to be a success in anything that you do, you have to do the hard things that you don't want to do in order to be successful. It's literally as simple as that.
We say this all the time to our clients in the gyms or in our online coaching programs, whatever it is. Like, when you're not feeling it, that's the day you should go to the gym. When you're not feeling it, that's the day you should spend a little bit more time focusing on your nutrition, because those are the days that really make the difference.
Yeah.
Like, if life is just not going the way you want it to be, and you've been in this defeatist mindset, the struggling mindset, the it's not fair, I'm never going to get that attitude, you have to just take a second and look at the differences around you, because these people around you might have been in that position before, but something changed for them. And you know my story changed when we booked a trip to Thailand. We had to change the business completely in order for me to be completely out of that. That's what changed it for me. That's completely what changed it for me. Yes, I saw all these other people around me opening their first studios, getting to 100 clients, going on their amazing holidays. And I'd been watching them and following them, thinking, oh, that's not fair on them, or I'm jealous of this, or I work harder than them, all that extra stuff. I had to break the mold. I had to do something completely out of my comfort zone and change that situation. For me, it was spending all that money on a trip to Thailand, which then I had 6 weeks to completely change my business. So maybe we need to have a look inside and see, what is it that you need to do? What is that thing that you need to do to maybe light that fire or to cause you serious discomfort to really make that change? And talking about discomfort as well, and something you're just saying there, the most essential tasks that you want to do are the ones that you always put on the back burner. So like, I need to write an email tonight because I should always do an email. But you know what? This protein bottle shouldn't be on the desk. Let me go and put that over there. Or the laptop screen's a bit dirty. Let me just do that. We're putting blockages. We're putting things in the way from doing the most important, the critical tasks, the things that's really going to move that needle or change your life. Hey, just going to pause it there really quickly. If you know any guests that would love to feature, or if you yourself would like to feature on one of these episodes, do let us know by reaching out or letting us know in the comments. Anyway, let's get back into the episode.
Yeah, and I think if for anyone listening to this, if anyone can resonate with that process where you've sat down to do something you don't really want to do, and you start doing, like David said there, go and grab a cup of tea, find a way to procrastinate, to put it off as much as possible. If you ever find you're doing that within your business, try and just take a step back, just take a deep breath, take a step back whenever you feel that's going to happen, and just be aware of the fact that you're doing that. Like, if you start doing things to put it off, just be aware of the fact that you're doing it, and try and approach your business and the things you do within it like a tool. And because you don't, if you've got a hammer in front of you or a saw in front of you or whatever, you don't think emotionally about it. You just pick it up and do whatever you need to go and do with it. It's the same kind of process here. Your business is a tool to help you achieve the things you want to achieve. So yes, you have to do things that maybe a little bit hard you don't like. But if you find that you are procrastinating on things, you find that you're putting things off that you don't want to do, like I said, be aware of it, take a step back from it, take a deep breath, and then just go and do it and approach it in a almost like stoic way, where you just kind of like don't try and apply emotion to what you're about to do, and then just go and do that situation. Because if we take sales calls as an example, what's the worst that's going to happen? If you don't have that conversation with them, you're guaranteed not to get a sale. But you have a conversation with them, you might get a sale. So really, what's the worst that's going to happen out of it? And if you do get that sale, it's taking you one step closer to where you want to be in terms of your life and your goals and what you want to do with your business. So yeah, just try and take a bit more of a step back, be aware, a bit more of a stoic approach to it. And you'll find with practice, doesn't happen overnight, but with practice, it becomes easier.
If this, for the final bit of this, then let's look at the differences with me and Ash. So what we're kind of sharing on these episodes are things that's worked for us. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for you. Maybe it's things that we've done ourselves or we've taught our clients to do. So please don't think like, if you're like Ash literally has his times blocked out from, I don't know what time you wake up, like 5 o'clock in the morning. He has half an hour slots, an hour slots. And like, even I don't get a reply most of the time because he only replies to me at certain times of the day, where my day is completely different. I don't have an alarm. I wake up whenever I want and I just get the things done whenever throughout the day. And if you read my post the other day, I don't do one-on-one coaching because I can't guarantee I'll be available for that specific hour. And that's why you'll see with this podcast, when we do it, we say 11 o'clock or 11:30 most Friday mornings. But if you've been following it on the live for a while now, you'll know that there are various times on Fridays, because that's how I live my life. So two complete opposites have still got us more or less to the same points or our own personal goals. So if you're listening to this and say, I want to be just like Dave, I want to be just like Ash, don't think our way is the perfect way. It's just one of the ways that's possible of getting you to that point.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, if you really want to see this kind of in action, just look at your own clients. You think when your clients, your clients can get to the same result, but they'll get there in two different paths. Yeah, the fundamental principles are probably going to be exactly the same, or they will be exactly the same, but how they're applied within their lives to get the results that they want is different. And you know that as coaches, you see it all the time. It's exactly the same with business. Like the fundamental principles that both me and Dave follow are the same, but the way we apply them within our own lives and our own business are different. Yet it's got us to exactly the same point.
Except you're about to go on a cruise and I'm sat here in rainy Wales.
There is that, but you are going on holiday soon, so.
Right then, just quickly to finish up, then there's a couple of events coming up over the next couple of weeks as well. We've got one down in London on the 19th.
We're going on the 19th, 20th.
20th.
Yeah, 20th.
On the 20th of July. So if anybody is in North London on the 20th of July or wants to pop down, you can find full details either my profile or Ash's profile. And we've got special guests, Shane Nugent coming to talk about nutrition and Neil Godley coming to talk about sales. Again, check out any of those people on me and Ash, and they'll be able to find full details on there.
Yeah, cool. We'll put some links around here as well to make it easier for you to find. And I will mention as well, it's free, which is always nice. So yeah, just as long as you've got a ticket. They are limited tickets, so make sure you do get them. But yeah, it's free. Let's say limited tickets. We'll put the links around here. Just get in touch with our profiles, and yeah, we'll get you all signed up. And I think we just had a quick question just pop in. Oh, it's from Jed. Jed to say I'm a night owl, which is very true. So it's not 5 a.m. I tend to do the way around. I work later hours normally in the day.
But so again, that's the difference there. Like I would rather have lie-in in the morning. And we all operate. We all do like even just bodybuilding. You know what I mean? Some people will think 12 reps is right. Some people will think German volume training is right. There's so many different ways of getting you to that end result. You just need to find the path for you, but you have to find that path. And the hard part is finding the path sometimes where we put blockages and we dabble, or we put one foot on the path and think, no, that's not for me, and step off it. Sometimes you have to follow these paths down to figure out that really wasn't the path for me. And when you get to the end of that path and you realize it isn't for you, then there's no reason to kind of say, you know, I got that one wrong, start again and go again and work at it.
Yeah, there's no right or wrong, and there's nothing wrong with going down the wrong path. There's nothing wrong with trying things and experimenting and exploring new ideas and exploring things. That's part and parcel of life. It's part and parcel of business. Like, just don't be afraid to explore things. Don't be afraid, don't set out to fail, but don't be afraid to fail on things. And yeah, just learn from the experience. I think that's the most important thing. As long as you learn from it, that's the important thing.
Right then, guys, I hope you all enjoyed or watched or listened to today's episode. As usual, if you want to come on, or if you've got an agreement or disagreement with what we're saying, do let us know in the comments below. After all, this is all about trying to have conversation, trying to be super social, and trying to just share our thoughts and help everybody along the way. Ash, enjoy your holiday, and we'll see you next week. Everybody, thank you for joining in.
Always see you next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us on this week's episode of the FitPro Social. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on future episodes.